The movie opens with Charly Matteï returning to the city after spending a joyful trip with his young son, Anatoly. As they drive in, Anatoly becomes excited after spotting a street performer and asks to stop and watch. Charlie smiles, telling him to go ahead while he finds a place to park, promising to join him shortly. But in the next moment, everything changes. As Charlie steps out of the car, several masked men suddenly appear and open fire without warning. Bullets tear through him from multiple directions. Despite being hit again and again, he somehow remains alive. As his vision begins to blur and consciousness slips away, fragments of his past rush back into his mind. He remembers his early days in prison, sitting across from a feared mafia figure known as Old Timer. With a slow and heavy tone, Old Timer warned him that once someone steps into the criminal world, there is no escape. It becomes a life that never lets you go. Back in the present, Charlie is rushed into surgery in critical condition. Doctors work desperately, pulling out bullet after bullet from his body, 22 in total, each one buried deep. The scene then shifts to Tony Zacchia, a composed yet intimidating man who has just received news of the shooting. His cold expression and controlled demeanor raise immediate suspicion, making it unclear whether he is connected to the attack. At the same time, the incident spreads quickly across the media, becoming major national news. Reports reveal that Charlie was once a well-known figure in the mafia world, though he had stepped away from that life. This revelation only deepens the mystery surrounding who would want him dead. Soon after, Police Captain Marie Goldman enters the story. Taking personal interest in the case, she decides to investigate the crime scene herself rather than treat it as just another gang-related incident. Meanwhile, as Charlie lies unconscious during surgery, more memories surface. He recalls a painful moment from his past, the death of Old Timer, the man he once respected deeply. Old Timer had been killed by a ruthless rival, leaving a void that fueled Charlie's anger. Driven by grief and revenge, Charlie joined forces with his closest allies at the time, Tony Zacchia and Kareem. Together, the three of them targeted Hernandez, the man they believed responsible for Old Timer's death. Bound by loyalty and rage, they swore to stand by each other like brothers. Their plan succeeded. Hernandez was eliminated, and that moment marked the true beginning of their descent into the criminal underworld, a path that would define all of their futures. Back in the present, Captain Marie Goldman begins facing pressure from above. Her superiors urge her to drop the case, arguing that Charlie is just a former criminal and incidents like this are simply part of gang violence. To them, it isn't worth further attention. But Marie refuses to back down. She chooses to continue digging, determined to uncover who was behind the attempted killing. She heads to the hospital where Charlie is slowly recovering after the intense operation. Though she tries to question him, hoping to get even the smallest lead, Charlie says nothing. His silence fills the room with tension, making it clear he has no intention of cooperating. Frustrated, Marie eventually leaves. Almost immediately after, Charlie's lawyer Martin enters the room, accompanied by his close associates Kareem and Pat. That same night, Marie returns home and tucks her son into bed. Just as things quiet down, she receives an unexpected phone call that unsettles her. Old memories resurface, and she spends the rest of the night drinking alone, thinking about her late husband. Meanwhile, Kareem is consumed by anger. Loyal to Charlie, he is determined to hunt down whoever was responsible for the attack and make them pay. Martin, however, urges him to stay patient. He insists they should wait until Charlie regains consciousness before taking any action. Acting too quickly could make things worse. Before leaving, Kareem gives Martin strict instructions. Charlie must not be left alone under any circumstances. Not long after, danger strikes again. A man disguised as hospital staff quietly slips through security and makes his way toward Charlie's room. Without hesitation, he pulls out a gun, pushes the door open, and fires multiple shots inside. The sound of gunfire echoes through the hospital halls, sending staff rushing toward the scene. When they arrive, they find a body, but it isn't Charlie's. Unknown to the attacker, Captain Marie had already moved Charlie to a different room earlier, anticipating another attempt on his life. Her quick thinking saved him. Immediately, she increases security and places officers on constant watch, ensuring that no one gets close without being noticed. While monitoring the situation, Marie spots Tony Zacchia arriving at the hospital to visit Charlie, which only deepens her suspicion toward him. Then, inside the room, Tony appears relieved to see that Charlie is still alive. Before leaving, he quietly places a card nearby, a gesture that feels more like a warning than support. Outside, surveillance continues as officers keep watch from an ambulance stationed nearby. Soon after, Kareem and Martin arrive again. This time, they don't stay long. They quickly move Charlie out of the hospital altogether. Marie notices immediately and follows them, determined not to lose track. Kareem soon realizes they're being tailed. Without hesitation, he speeds up, trying to shake off the pursuit while contacting someone for backup. Once they lose Marie, Karim drives straight to an abandoned warehouse. Inside, one of Tony's men is tied to a chair, clearly terrified and barely able to stay composed. Charly steps forward, calm but intimidating. He assures the man that if he cooperates, nothing will happen to him. Under pressure, the man quickly talks. He claims he wasn't directly involved in the shooting, but reveals something far more shocking. Tony Zakia himself had ordered surveillance on Charly and wanted him eliminated. According to him, Tony feared Charly's return. Since Charly had stepped away from the criminal world, Tony had taken full control of the drug operations. Now he saw Charly as a threat to that power. Hearing this, Charly is left stunned. He struggles to accept that someone he once trusted like a brother could be behind the attempt on his life. Karim reacts immediately, urging Charly to act first and eliminate Tony before it's too late. But Charly hesitates. The bond they once shared makes the decision far more complicated than simple revenge. Karim eventually backs off, giving Charly space to think. Martin then takes Charly home, where his family greets him with warmth and relief. For a brief moment, the chaos fades, and Charly finds comfort in being back with them. Meanwhile, Karim returns to his own home. But late that night, everything takes a dark turn. He is suddenly ambushed and kidnapped by Tony's men. It's soon revealed that the man tied up in the warehouse, the one who exposed Tony, had secretly set this up in advance, hoping to regain Tony's trust. But his plan fails instantly. Instead of being rewarded, he is executed without hesitation. As a brutal message, the attackers cut off one of Karim's fingers and send it to his family. Charly, still focused on recovering and trying to return to normal life, remains unaware of what has happened, until the devastating news finally reaches him. Karim is dead. The impact is immediate. Shock quickly turns into overwhelming grief. At the funeral, Charly stands silently, watching Karim's family mourn. The weight of the loss settles in deeply, and beneath the surface, anger begins to grow uncontrollably. This time, there is no hesitation. The desire for revenge fully takes over. Before acting, Charly makes sure his own family will be safe. He asks Pat to move them somewhere secure, far from any danger that might follow. That same night, Tony's men gather for a loud celebration, acting carefree as if nothing had happened. Their laughter fills the room, completely detached from the violence they had just carried out. But their moment doesn't last. Charly arrives alone, yet completely fearless. He gives them a final chance to call their loved ones and say goodbye. Then, without warning, he strikes. He shoots one of the men, recognizing him by a distinctive watch, the same man who had attacked him earlier. Panic spreads instantly through the room. Before anyone can react, Charly disappears just as quickly as he came, leaving behind fear and silence. The next day, one of Tony's men visits the graves of those who were killed, intending to pay respects. But before he can even light incense, Charly appears again and kills him on the spot. Now it's clear, Charly has begun his retaliation. Realizing the situation is escalating, Tony orders his men to search Charly's home and track down his family. But when they arrive, they find nothing. Meanwhile, Charly is hidden away in a quiet part of the city, calmly resting with his cat, completely removed from the chaos of the search. Not long after, Martin arrives at the house and is shocked by the destruction left behind. He quickly warns Charly about the danger, but neither of them realizes they've already been followed. One of Tony's men has tracked Martin, and now knows exactly where Charly is hiding. Within moments, they are surrounded. Charly remains composed. He steps forward to hold off the attackers, buying time while Martin escapes by boat. But the danger isn't over. One of Tony's men pursues Martin and corners him, leaving him with no clear way out. At the same time, Charly speeds away on a motorcycle, trying to escape the trap, but the pursuit is relentless. In the chaos, he crashes directly into a police vehicle. Before he can recover, he is arrested. Once again, he finds himself face to face with Captain Marie Goldman. That same evening, while chaos continues elsewhere, Tony attends his daughter's wedding, celebrating as if nothing has happened. The contrast is striking, joy and luxury on one side, violence and betrayal on the other. Unseen, Charly is already nearby. He quietly captures one of Tony's men and forces him to cooperate. Before dealing with him, Charly demands detailed information about Tony's drug operations, determined to expose everything. When Tony learns what's happening, his composure breaks. Rage takes over instantly. He leaves the celebration and rushes toward his drug lab, unable to tolerate the threat Charly now poses. Running out of patience, Tony gives a direct order. Charly must be captured, dead or alive. The next morning begins calmly. Pat picks up Charly's children, Anatoly and Eva, from school. Everything appears normal for a brief moment, until a truck suddenly pulls up beside them. Armed men jump out and abduct both children, driving away before anyone can react. By the time Captain Marie arrives at the scene, it's already too late. The kidnappers are gone. Not long after, police locate Eva and bring her back to the station. Injured and shaken, she collapses while revealing a terrifying message. Anatoly will be killed unless Charly turns himself in. As Marie leaves the station, Charly suddenly appears and gets into her car without warning. He proposes a risky plan. He asks her to release false news claiming that he has been arrested. If Tony believes it, he might stop searching and release Anatoly. Charly promises that if his son is returned safely, he will surrender himself. After a moment of hesitation, Marie agrees to help. The false report spreads quickly. When Tony hears that Charly has been captured, he reacts with fury. Instead of backing off, he orders one of his men to eliminate Anatoly immediately. But Tony doesn't realize something. Charly is already tracking that same man. Riding his motorcycle, Charly follows him silently to the location where his son is being held. Inside the house, another guard watches over Anatoly, waiting for orders. When he's told to kill the boy, he hesitates, but instead of obeying, he quickly releases him. Outside, Charly becomes entangled in a barbed wire fence while trying to get closer. As he struggles to break free, the situation inside escalates. One of the attackers grabs Anatoly and forces him into a car trunk. At that exact moment, Charly bursts forward. He attacks with full force, overpowering the man and brutally taking him down. Within seconds, the threat is eliminated. Charly pulls Anatoly to safety. For the first time since everything began, his son is finally back in his arms. After bringing Anatoly home safely, Charly reassures his wife that they no longer need to hide. He tells her the threat is over, that he has taken care of everyone who was sent after them. For a brief moment, it feels like the danger has passed. But the conflict isn't truly finished yet. The following day, Charly makes a bold move. He appears without warning while Tony is alone and at ease. There's no chaos, no ambush, just the two of them face to face. Charly is calm. Despite everything that has happened, he is willing to let it all end there, choosing to respect the bond they once shared. Years of friendship still hold weight for him. But Tony sees things differently. Consumed by power and paranoia, he has no intention of letting Charly walk away alive. To him, this has already gone too far to forgive. Without hesitation, Tony attacks. He forces Charly down and presses a gun directly to his face, ready to finish what he started. For a moment, it seems like it's over. But Tony makes one mistake. He lets his focus slip. In that instant, Charly reacts. He turns the situation around and gains the upper hand, refusing to go down so easily. Just as the struggle reaches its peak, the police arrive. Tony is arrested on the spot, not just for the violence, but for running a large-scale drug operation. It's revealed that behind the scenes, Charly had been working with Captain Marie, helping gather the evidence needed to finally bring Tony down. When questioned, Charly walks free. There is no proof connecting him to the criminal activities, leaving the police with no choice but to release him. After leaving the station, Martin picks him up and asks him to return to the parking lot, the same place where the shooting had first happened. Standing there again, Charly begins to piece something together. He suddenly realizes the truth. Martin had been there that day. He was the one who fired the shots. Feeling betrayed, Charly immediately draws his weapon. But before things escalate, Martin explains everything. Tony had ordered him to carry out a hit, but never revealed the target. When Martin discovered it was Charly, he couldn't go through with it. Instead of aiming at him, he fired at the wall, deliberately missing. The truth shifts everything. What seemed like betrayal was actually hesitation, and in a way, protection. Charly lowers his weapon, understanding what really happened in that moment. In the end, the chaos settles. The final scene shows Charly with his family, walking peacefully along the beach as the sun sets. After everything he has endured, he is finally able to experience a moment of quiet, something that once felt impossible.